knowing what to sell, what brands do well, what's selling on Poshmark, the best brands to sell on Poshmark. I have it all for you in this video because what I'm going to be sharing is something that I did last year, which is the best top selling brands in my closet for the year of 2023. So last year I did the same exact thing for 2022, and this year I'm going to share with you 2023, the top brands that I sold. I'm going to share with you what brand, I'm going to share with you how much total revenue I sold of it, how many items I sold of it, as well as the ASP for that brand. I have a few honorable mentions, and at the end of the video, I'm even going to give you a comparison so you can see what changed from my top 2022 to my top 2023. And this will give you some really good insight into brands that I'm not picking up anymore and brands that I'm focusing on because they're still doing well year after year. Let's dive in. Thank you to Vendo for sponsoring today's video. I have used Vendo exclusively for years to draft, list, cross-post, delist, relist, manage inventory with labels, track analytics, but lately, auto sales detection and the Vendo app are some of my most favorite features. Vendo is always upgrading and improving its program, and the auto sales detection feature is amazing because when it's on and an item sells, let's say on Mercari, it gets automatically delisted from Poshmark and anywhere else it's listed. Total game changer. The Vendo app lets me list on the go so I can get listings up at Gio's baseball practice or even when I'm on a cruise with no laptop. Use the link below to get 30% off your first paid month of Vendo. Okay, so we're gonna go in order from the lowest brand in my top 10 list. So this has the lowest amount of revenue and we'll go all the way up to the one with the highest amount of revenue for the year of 2023. So the first brand is Athleta. Athleta, I sold 22 items for a revenue of $618 and an ASP of $28.12. So Athleta has been a good seller for me. I have sold multiples of it, things that I get on online arbitrage, and I buy multiples of them on clearance and sell them again and again. And then I also have like thrifted and pre-owned items. I have not been picking it up as much lately, but this was a good seller for me in 2023. And it's a brand that for certain pieces, I would still consider selling, like leggings, skirts, and some outerwear. The number 9 spot is Polo Ralph Lauren. So not Ralph Lauren, not Lauren by Ralph Lauren. This is the Polo by Ralph Lauren specifically. And I find that this is more expensive and I find that the resale value is higher. So I sold 20 items from Polo Ralph Lauren for a total of $670 in revenue and an ASP of $33.50. Not sure what's going on with some of these pictures, but I do like items of note like outerwear or pants or dresses. I did end up getting a multiple quantity of some tops, and so because they were multiple quantity, I sold them again and again from just doing one listing. And so that's always okay in my book, but I would probably stick with dresses, pants, and outerwear for this brand as well, just because you get a little bit more money. Okay, number 8 on the list is Danielle Bernstein. And honestly, I don't really know too much about the backstory of this brand, but I was able to get multiple quantities of many different styles of a few different kinds of items. And so it's been great because I, paid one price, put up one listing, got multiple sizes of it, and can sell it again and again. You'll notice a theme here. That's one of my most favorite things to do. And many of the styles have sold out and it's done really well for me. So I sold a total of 33 items for $750 with an average sales price of $22.74. Next is number 7, and this brand is Lilly Pulitzer. We all know and love. And so I sold 17 items of Lilly Pulitzer in 2023 for a total value of $836, ASP of $49.18. And pretty much I only sell dresses of Lilly Pulitzer, as you can see here. It's just something that here in Florida is kind of readily available, and so I'm able to pick it up pretty quickly, pretty easily without doing too much work. I do pay up for it, and so that's why I do need that ASP to be a little bit higher on these because I do pay up for it. Number 6 on the list is Erica Pena. And so I'm not sure if you're familiar with this brand. Honestly, I was new to it when I came across an opportunity for, yes, another multiple quantity listing. So I was able to get multiple quantities of these dresses in a few different styles and colors, as well as these like tassel long belt scarf things, and they sold little by little, and they sold for pretty good money because the retail value was rather high. So I have had these for a little while. They did take a little while to sell, but I do believe I've sold almost all of them now. There might be 1 or 2 items left from this little bulk lot that I got. I sold 12 Erica Pena items for a total value of revenue of $935. And the average sales price on that is $77.92. Okay, halfway through here, one of my favorite brands, number 5, is Torrid. I sold 46 items from Torrid for a total value of $1,205.05. The ASP is $26.20 on this. And as you can tell here, there's very few non-dress items. I do sell pre-owned. I do sell new with tags that I bought clearance on their website for online arbitrage. So I sell all kinds of dresses. And then I do experiment sometimes with kimonos or tops to see how they go. But my favorite is to sell Torrid dresses in size 1X and up, or Torrid size 1 and up, with the sweet spot really being 1 and 2. Number 4th on the list is Prana, and this is an activewear brand, and I got an entire palette of Prana. I forget when, but at some point, either at the end of 2022 or in 2023, I don't remember. So I do have a lot of this brand that sold in 2023, and I have a lot still to sell. And it sells, I won't say slowly, but I won't say quickly. It sells, regularly in like a drip, drip, drip. So maybe I'll sell 1 a day on average, or, 1 and then nothing, and then 3 and then nothing. So it just sells periodically. And because this was multiple quantity listing of all new with tags items, it was very easy because all I had to do was sort out the sizes and take pictures of, the item and the tags. And then all I'm doing is putting up one listing and selling multiple quantity of them. So as far as the workload goes, when you do a multiple quantity listing like this, it's great because it goes super fast and then you can just make profit over and over. So I'm fine that I'm still sitting on some of these pants and shorts and whatever because they just sell periodically and I don't have to do any more work on it. The work is already done. So it's, active work up front, but then it's kind of passive work later on and you're earning money passively. So I sold 39 items of Prana, and that's a total revenue of $1,301.93 with an ASP of $33.38. Okay. Next is number 3 on the list. So we're almost at our top spot for 2023 in best-selling brands. Eileen Fisher is number 3. I have multiple quantity of brand new with tags tops, as you can see here. I have lots of pants and I have a few skirts left, but this is a good brand, a great seller, and I was able to get a ton of it. And so whenever you can get a lot of something that is a good seller, you just can't say no, right? So I sold 57 items from Eileen Fisher in 2023. I sold a revenue amount of $1,637 with an average sales price of $28.72. So not bad, as you can see, like so many pants. Okay, next up in the number 2 slot is a brand called On My Rack. And if you're not sure what that is, it's my brand. So On My Rack is the name of my closet, and On My Rack is the name of my boutique brand. So I buy items wholesale from a distributor in multiple quantities. I list them as multiple quantity listings, and then I'm able to sell them over and over again. Again, the theme running here, I sell them over and over. I do little to no work once they're listed once, and I just ship them out and earn profit again and again. So I have lots of different kinds of items that I like to sell. Again, these are all part of my brand On My Rack, my boutique brand. And I sold 321 items from my boutique in 2023. I did a total of $5,576.89 with my boutique, so over $5,000 of boutique items. And my average sales price is lower for these because some of the items are jewelry, and so they, just go for a lower price. And so it's an average sales price of $17.37. So I have some items that go for higher, some that go for lower, and it averages out at around 17, which I'm totally cool with because let's say I list this pair of earrings and I list it once, but I have, 20 of them and I make $5 profit every time I sell them. That adds up to be a pretty good listing. So for me, having the multiple quantity and getting a lower profit per time it sells is okay because I have so many to sell from each listing. Okay, and the top spot I'm sure is not surprising to anyone who has followed me. It is Zara. Zara is one of my favorite brands to sell, and I buy it by the pallet load and I list it, and it's just pretty amazing. So for me, I sold 274 items of Zara in 2023. And in the top selling spot, it did $7,748.91 of revenue. And my average sales price on Zara items in 2023 was $28.28. So pretty solid, pretty good. Zara in the number one spot. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about a comparison between all of these brands from 2022 and 2023 so we can get a little bit of state of like what's going on with things. Okay, so I have the chart up that I've been reading off of while I'm going through all of these brands, so now you can take a look at everything. So on the left-hand side, I have 2022's results, and on the right, I have 2023's results, and so we just went over 2023. I did have some honorable mentions, but only because they were honorable mentions in 2022, and I wanted to show you the difference. So let's just start with like the number 10 spot or so. In like the number 10 spot, last year was Polo Ralph Lauren. This year, and I'm going to say last year and this year for 2022 and 2023. So last year, Polo Ralph Lauren was in the 10 spot. This year it was in the 9 spot with a little bit less money and a little bit less of an ASP, but still a decent showing. Then in the number 9 spot last year, it was a tie between Reformation and Athleta. And this year, I don't even have Reformation on the list because I wasn't sourcing it. I just wasn't able to get at the price point that I want, the kinds of items from Reformation that I would want, which for the most part is midi and maxi dresses. And so I wasn't able to get those in the price point that I wanted with my online sourcing strategy. It's not something I usually find here in Orlando, so the only way I get it is online, and I just didn't get them. So Reformation did not even make the list in 2023. That's why I put it down here with no results. I don't think I sold not one. But Athleta stayed, and it's in the number 10 spot, and it's actually about $100 less than it was last year, which is fine because I didn't really replenish that source. I was focused on other brands. And I was really kind of consolidating things in 2023. So Athleta, I was just selling off what I already had still from 2022. And so that's why that happened. Now in 2022, in the 8th spot was Torrid with $782. This year, it was in the number 5 spot with $1,200. So not double, but almost double, and went up 2 spots. So Torrid is still a great seller for me, and I really did focus on it. Eileen Fisher was in the number 7 spot in 2022 with $787. This year was my 3rd top selling brand, and I sold $1,637. So what is that? Yeah, more than double for Eileen Fisher this year. So that's definitely something where Eileen Fisher has been a good seller for many years, but this year it really doubled for me. And that doesn't mean that the demand is more, but it means that I continued to focus on it and continue to have high number of those items in my closet that I was able to sell them. Now here's a big difference. Number 6 was Everlane in 2022. I did love selling Everlane, but really towards the end it wasn't doing so well. I sold about $1,000 of it in 2022. This year, 2023, I only had 2 sales of Everlane for $42. I might even still have some listed. It's just not selling. So I think Everlane might have had its day, or at least for me. Now, J. Crew was on the list last year in the number 5 spot at $1,100. And in that video, I did say that J. Crew, I don't sell everything from J. Crew. It's really outerwear, cashmere, sweaters, certain kinds of dresses. That's the kind of stuff that I like really cherry pick from J. Crew. And it wasn't even on the list this year. I did sell some items from J. Crew, but not much, like not even $500 worth. So I forgot to write down the number. It wasn't much. Another big change was in 2022, Aritzia, the number 4 brand, was $1,800, almost $1,900. And in 2023, I only sold $300 of it. I sold 19 items, so that ASP is a lot lower than it was. I didn't do the math on it, but my Aritzia pieces have not been doing well. It could just be that they're not the right style. Maybe that brand is kind of going out of style. I don't really care. I just kind of look at my numbers, and if a brand's doing well, I keep sourcing it. If a brand isn't doing well, I stop sourcing it and I start like lowering the prices to get rid of it. Another big change here was Lilly Pulitzer. In 2022, it was in the number 3 slot and I sold $2,800 of it. I stopped paying up for the Lilly Pulitzer because I found that I wasn't able to sell it for as high as I used to. And as you can see, the ASP in 2022 was $54 and the ASP in 2023 was $49. So on average, it went down about $5 for some items. Because I was paying up for these Lilly Pulitzer dresses, sometimes as much as $20, I just could not justify that. So I stopped sourcing it a lot. I think that the styles I have now are probably the older styles that nobody wants. And so I'm taking lower prices for them. And so it's not that I won't ever sell Lilly Pulitzer in the future. There's a big shift because my sourcing strategy is not right. You know, I can't keep paying $20 for older style Lilly Pulitzer dresses. I can pay $20 for, you know, new in season ones that will go for a high price, but I can't just buy and sell any Lilly Pulitzer dress. And that's what I was kind of experimenting with. And now we see that that's not the case. So I learned my lesson on that. I do think it's really interesting that the number 1 and number 2 slots are basically exactly the same from year to year, all the way down to the fact that the numbers are basically the same. So number 2 for both 2022 and 2023 is on my rack, which is my boutique brand. And I sold about 320 items and I sold about $5,500. A little bit more, a little bit less, but literally it's like exactly the same. And then for Zara, the number 1 slot both years, and it looks like I sold actually just slightly more in 2023 than 2022 of Zara. So, and that's probably because some of the older items I'm letting go for less money because on these palettes, I made all my money, I made my profit. And so if I have some items that have been sitting for a while where I know I only paid $4 or $5 for them and I had them up for 50 and now I know I could maybe let them go for less. And so I'm still making money and I'm kind of moving through that inventory. So I think that the higher total value sales of Zara in 2023 is due to the fact that I was lowering prices on some and letting things go for a little bit lower. So yeah, because you can see here the ASP is down to 28 from 31, even though I sold more items for a little bit more revenue. So that's exactly what happened. I didn't even look at that number. So that's exactly what happened. So yeah, Zara is still my top seller. My boutique brand is still my second top seller. And then all the other ones fluctuate and change. But as you can see, like these numbers here are a lot more consolidated, I feel like 1,600 of Eileen Fisher. That's a big chunk from what it was. And then some of the other ones, I already explained. So down to the honorable mentions, just to kind of let you know, Draper James was a great seller for me in 2022 as far as it's a higher price point, so I don't expect to sell as much. And I was paying up for them, so I needed it to sell at a higher price point. I wasn't taking low offers on it. And so I did $680 last year for an average sales price of $52. This year, I only sold 4 items for $169 for an ASP of 42. So the ASP went down 10 whole dollars. You know, it's like a third or a fourth of the money revenue from the year before. So Draper James is not something that I'm focusing on anymore. And I don't know if you guys remember, but when Kohl's added Draper James RSVP, I knew that that's when Draper James was going to start going downhill, because now there's this diffusion line that's readily available, new at tags, cheaper at Kohl's. Why would somebody pay more for a used one? That's the real thing. So it's kind of a bummer. Bowden, you know, is not something that I come across often. And so it did okay. And it was a 33 ASP and I did $500 of it last year. And then this year I did $350 for an ASP of 35. So, you know, it's just kind of the same. Eliza J is actually almost exactly the same in terms of revenue. $500 in 2022, $500 in 2023. These are multiple quantity listings. And so again, I did let the ASP go on them a little bit. I felt like I was able to list them higher and sell them higher more in the past than I am now. And so when you have a multiple quantity listing and you have those last few left, you just kind of want to get rid of them before the style completely goes away. And so that's kind of the point where I'm at right now with it. Madewell, I did about almost $500 in 2022. I don't have the numbers. I feel like I sold 2 things from Madewell. I don't know why I didn't write it down. But so Madewell is not really a thing for me. And that doesn't mean it's not a thing anymore. It's just if I don't source it, then I can't list it. It can't sell for me. So in 2022, I sourced it, I listed it, I sold it. But this year, I didn't really focus at all on it. I was focusing on these other top brands and kind of consolidating in on replicating what was working really well. And so as I already mentioned, you know, Everlane bombed, Aritzia bombed, Reformation bombed, and then J. Crew, it didn't bomb. It just, I didn't have that many pieces of it because I'm so super selective. Thank you again to Vendo for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to use the link below to get started with 5 free listings per month to try it out and get 30% off your first paid month of Vendo.